Police abuse. Man, that's a place nobody wants to go, but it's real and it may be even very personal to you. My next author saw the abuse as an officer. He confronted it and he actually suffered for standing up for doing the right thing. Norman Carter wrote The Long Blue Walk, My Journey as a Philly Cop. Welcome, Norman. Glad that you're here today.
Thank you for having me.
Norman, you retired back in 92 from the Philadelphia Police Department with a rank of corporal after 25 years. But you started speaking up as a rookie, and there were actually people, you had a reputation, people didn't want to work with you because of that. Can you make that your starting place?
Yes, that's true. I confronted a police officer who was abusing an African American female, and as a result of that, and as a result also of my not wanting to plant evidence on an innocent person who was just walking home from work, the word went out that you can't trust this guy. Don't work with him.
So you weren't going to make the narrative what they wanted it to be. Why would they want to do that? What is the advantage to lying and changing what the truth, the narrative?
Well, bad cops are insulated when they have other people around him who either participate in their actions or won't talk about their actions. And they were afraid that I would be the one who would talk about their actions. I was very vocal in my outrage about certain things. In fact, it got to the point where police officers who worked around me wouldn't even use cuss words because I didn't use cuss words.
You set the standard.
Yeah. So,
and what? Well, I guess my question is also, why do they want to plant this evidence that's not real in the first place? What is the point?
Well, at that time, there was something called vice arrests. I believe there still are. And there was arrests for minor events like illegal lottery or illegal liquor sales. But you got big kudos from your supervisors when you made these type of arrests. And there was an incentive that if you made these type of arrests, that you would get a day off or a half day off or get some other preferential treatment. And I didn't want to be a part of that. I grew up with that in my neighborhood as a child in North Philadelphia. And I absolutely refused to participate in that type of activity.
What point are you trying to make with your book? What are you hoping that you will do?
The point of my book is to, number one, empower police officers on the job to stand up and speak out when they see injustice committed by their coworkers. And also it's to empower the public to stand up and speak out when they see injustices committed by police officers. But also more important is for community involvement, for people to get involved with their police departments, attend monthly meetings with their police commanders so that we can establish a communication. And once we establish that communication and familiarization, that's going to limit incidents of police abuse in communities.
You are very clear to say that this is an active minority, right, of bad cops.
Yes.
Would you share about that?
It's a very active minority, but they exist and they flourish because of the so-called blue wall of silence and certain organizations such as the Fraternal Order of Police that work to protect and shelter these type of officers. But the peer pressure that's exerted from the Fraternal Order of Police and even in some cases, as was in my case, the Internal Affairs Bureau, that type of pressure keeps police officers, good cops, silent, because at the end of the day, everybody's working for their families or for themselves. No one wants undue pressure. It's enough being out there on the street confronting danger.
What does it take to reform not just the police, but the whole system, from what you're saying?
Well, the first thing it's going to take is learning about the internal impediments to reforming police. And I think a lot of well-meaning citizens don't understand that. And also communication within communities, but also you're going to need almost wholesale changes in leadership, and in some cases, federal oversight, which I can tell you from my personal experiences, Police departments fear federal oversight. But that's probably what's going to be needed in a lot of police departments. But the first thing that's required is knowing how police departments work internally, know the internal pressures they exert on whistleblowers or people who want to expose corrupt behavior. And that's when we can begin to make change, because the biggest changes are going to come from within and not from without.
So we're seeing a lot on TV now. Do you think that technology and the fact that there's cameras in our phones that we can record things has really made this the hot button? Because you're going back more than 15, 20, 25 years.
Yes, I think it helps, but there's a lot of things that won't make it to camera. Planting evidence on people, on innocent people, that's not going to make it on camera. A lot of times, verbal abuse. There's been too many incidents where police officers will turn their cameras off when confronting citizens. And I've been in touch with police officers who are currently on the job or just recently retired. So there's all these little things. Bad cops go to ridiculous extremes to cover up their behavior.
Sure.
And so what we need is those officers feeling as if they can't do the things that they want to do because they're worried about somebody looking over their shoulder. Mm-hmm. And we need more cops looking over shoulders and not just looking, but speaking out.
Mm-hmm. True accountability, people who aren't just seeing it's happening, but are willing to talk, like you said.
Absolutely.
You actually made it on Dateline NBC with a high-profile case. Would you share about that?
Yes. There was a police commissioner who went to a community meeting in my neighborhood, and the people at that meeting complained about the increase in crime. And the police commissioner told these people that there was just their perception that crime was really on the decrease. And he was able to provide statistics. I immediately after that, I was so outraged that I wrote an editorial to the Philadelphia Daily News. And in that article, I wrote that how the police department hid statistics. And I said, if you don't believe me, I says, look in Philadelphia, you will find that there's no report of stolen vehicle tags in Philadelphia because they hide them. They hide that. And so a reporter for the Philadelphia Inquirer, Mark Fazlola, I can call his name, he did some research and found out that what I said was true. This led to a huge expose. And the short story is that it resulted in changes in the police department's reporting of crime. But unfortunately and sadly, it did not change in time to save the life of a young lady by the name of Shannon Schreiber, who, in my opinion, was a victim of police hiding rapes and covering up rapes. And as a result of that, a serial rapist was enabled to rape and murder her in Center City, Philadelphia.
Norman, you're one of the bravest people I've ever met. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And if this doesn't get you enticed to read his book, I don't know what possibly could. Norman Carter, The Long Blue Walk, My Journey as a Philly Cop. We want you to buy it. We want you to rate it. We want you to share it with a friend and get the word out, because this is so important. Norman, I'm going to give you the last word here.
I hope that everyone takes your advice and understand that being vocal, and I don't mean outraged to the point of riots and whatnot, but being vocal, being informed, which is what my book does. It informs you of the internal pressures that the police department will exert on good cops, and support cops who speak out. Support your whistleblowers. That's one of the biggest problems. And through my book, you're going to learn how to do that.
Norman, thank you.
Thank you.